What's your favorite scary movie?
Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. So today we are going back to the 90s and talking about one of my favorite childhood films that I would always have to watch every Halloween season, and I still do to this day, and that is Casper from 1995.
Universal Pictures and Amblin Entertainment
Are we scary or what?
invite you on a wild, wondrous ride.
Hurry up, come on!
So Casper is based off the Harvey Comics cartoon character and is directed by Brad Silberling, stars Christina Ricci, Bill Pullman, Kathy Moriarty, Eric Idle, and hit theaters back in 1995. So like I mentioned, Casper holds a special place in my heart. This movie was such a big part of my childhood. I remember when the movie was getting ready to come out, or maybe the film had just come out, that there was the Pizza Hut commercial promoting the film. And if you went to Pizza Hut, you can get these glow-in-the-dark puppet figures. And I don't think I had all of them, but I at least had a couple of them, and I really wish that I'd held on to them. I know you can get them on eBay now, and I'm probably going to end up doing that eventually. But then recently, this year, I got really lucky, and I happened to see, it was like Facebook neighborhood page, that someone had posted this guy for sale in that page, and I got it for $2. I was so excited to see this. I drove over there right away, picked the thing up, and when I did pick it up, it was a little bit more beat up. There was like some yellowing and stuff like that, so I was able to do a paint over for it. I don't know if you guys can tell, from this far back, but yeah, I think he looks pretty good. And actually, you plug this into the wall and it lights up. So I don't know if any of you guys are familiar, if you've seen the movie. If you did, you probably recognize this, but I had never seen it until that point, so that was really cool.
Now order any pizza or Pepsi and get a glow-in-the-dark hand puppet from the movie Casper. Only $1.49. Dine-in, carry-out, or delivery.
And on top of all of that, you had the commercials, the movie came out. But then to top it off, the film starred Christina Ricci, which growing up, she was one of my first celebrity crushes. So you can't get much better than that. And so the film takes place in Friendship, Maine, and I've always loved the opening of this movie. So you have these two kids, it's a dark, kind of spooky night, and they're getting ready to sneak inside of Whipstaff Manor. Now, they're trying to go in there and get a picture of themselves inside this mansion because they want to prove to their classmates that they're not chicken and, they're the cool kids. So they go inside, and once they get inside, they're getting ready to take the picture, and they start fighting with each other. And that's when you hear this voice says, "Hey, I can help you guys take that picture." And when they go to do it, the kids freak out, obviously, because the camera's just floating there, and they run out, and that's how the movie opens up. I just always really enjoyed that opening to the film. From there, we end up getting introduced to Kerrigan and her lawyer Dibbs, who she's just found out that she's inherited Whipstaff Manor after the passing of her father. She ended up finding out that there might be treasure in there, so she ends up going to check the place out with Dibbs before finding out the place is actually haunted by ghosts. And so she tries to find someone to get the ghost out, and we get a hilarious cameo from Dan Aykroyd as Ray Stantz. Now, growing up as a kid, I didn't realize who that was. I think like the first time that I watched it, because I hadn't seen Ghostbusters up to that point. But as I saw the film later on, I thought that was just a really funny cameo that they were able to get in this movie. And it's not the only one that they get either. So eventually, Kerrigan, she ends up discovering, with a little help, James Harvey, who's this paranormal therapist, and his daughter Kat, who travel the country trying to help out ghosts. And so she hires them in hopes to try and get the ghost out of the mansion, so then that way she can discover the treasure that is located inside. And so James and Kat, they finally arrive to Whipstaff Manor, and man, this place would have been an absolute dream home for me. We get to see inside, you see the giant staircase, all the secret passageways. Just when you first walk into the place, there's this big open area. Man, I would absolutely kill to have a place like this, and there's no way in hell that's going to happen now, especially what the housing market is, what it is today. But yeah, as a kid, I always just wanted to live in a place like this. And then at this point in the film, we also find out that Kat's mom had died, and is really kind of the main reason why James has gotten into this field in the first place. And so at this point in the film, Kat finally meets Casper when she's unpacking in her room, which causes her to scream, of course, and then her dad comes to see what's going on, and he sees Casper too for the first time, and naturally he freaks out too. And so after this, then we get to meet the other ghosts that are in the house. We get to meet Fatso, Stretch, and Stinky, and they have a showdown with James Harvey, and we end up getting a Crypt Keeper cameo, which again at the time wouldn't have recognized because I hadn't seen that when I was a little kid. But as I got a little bit older and rewatched the film, again, another cameo that I just really loved, being a big horror fan myself. And then we get that, and then James eventually, he takes down the ghosts by sucking them up in a vacuum cleaner. And one of my favorite scenes in the film is the breakfast scene, and I can't really give a good reason why it is. It's just something about Casper making breakfast for Kat and her dad that, I don't know, I just found it really wholesome, connected with the scene for some reason. But this is also the moment in the film where Casper kind of gets them to trust him for the first time as well. And obviously, guys, I love that the movie takes place around Halloween. You guys know me, I love Halloween, so anytime you have that in a film, naturally gonna really enjoy that. And they do a good job of capturing that atmosphere here, making it feel like it's fall. And when Kat, she's getting introduced to her classmates for the first time, she tells them that she lives at Whipstaff Manor, and you just see the kid's reaction when she says that. She's like, oh, so you guys are familiar with the place? And everyone's kind of like, you guys actually live there? And so at that point, they kind of decide to vote that the school dance is going to be held at Whipstaff Manor. And just because the place is haunted, and they think that would be a cool place to have a dance rather than where they were going to have it at the first place. And naturally, that causes some tension with one of the mean girls. She's kind of like the bully in the film, and so they want to sabotage Kat. Back at the house, Dr. Harvey is trying to counsel Fatso, Stinky, and Stretch when they mention they know his wife, and they tell him if he keeps Kerrigan off their backs, they'll actually reach out to her for him. Of course, this is a prank initially, but we end up finding out that they actually keep their word later on in the film. One of the more heartfelt moments in the movie too is Kat is talking to Casper when you realize he doesn't really remember much of when he was alive, which is really sad. And as Kat is falling asleep, laying there talking about her mom, we get one of the iconic lines from the film when Casper says, "Can I keep you?" And so a little bit later after that, Kat, she ends up finding a lot of Casper's old stuff when she's digging through things to try and find stuff to come up with a costume idea for the dance. And so she finds all of Casper's old stuff and she sets it up in the room. And that, once he sees it, that kind of, jogs his memory and he starts remembering things from his past. And then the audience, we end up finding out that he actually died as a kid because of pneumonia. And then we also find out that his dad was an inventor. And then that's the point of the film when Casper, he takes Kat down to the basement. But of course, naturally, Kerrigan and Dibs follow behind. So Casper explains to Kat that his dad actually invented this machine that's able to bring the dead back to life. There's only enough in the solution just to bring back one person, try it one time though. And so Casper is going to use it on himself, then Kerrigan and Dibs steal it. And of course, Kerrigan wants this because she's like, bringing people back from the dead, do you imagine how much money that you can get with something like this? And so her and Dibs start kind of fighting in the process, and Kerrigan actually ends up dying, but then she comes back as a ghost, and so she's going to use the solution to bring herself back. But then Casper and Kat, they end up tricking her into saying that she doesn't have any unfinished business, and that makes her cross over, and so she leaves. However, Kat then finds out that her dad has died and is a ghost himself now, and initially doesn't remember who Kat is, but Kat eventually does get him to remember, and you can just tell that he's like, oh no, I'm so sorry, what has happened? And she's not ready to move on. She's already lost one parent, she's not ready to lose another. And so Casper, again, he was going to use the solution on himself to bring himself back, but he knows at this point that he's got to use that. He tells Dr. Harvey to get into the machine, so this way Kat and her father can be reunited. And so like I said, guys, this movie, it definitely packs a punch when it comes to the heart element of the film. It deals with different themes like grief, loss, and just how to move on after you lose a loved one. And so I didn't fully appreciate that as a little kid. When I saw the film for the first time, I was 5 or 6 years old, so I'm just watching this movie and I'm like, ooh, spooky ghost and things like that. And so now watching it as an adult, you see that, but you also see, Casper and just how he died as a little kid, his father having to deal with that, Kat losing her mother at such a young age. And so yeah, the movie definitely has its laughs for sure. I love the back and forth between Kat and the three ghosts, Fatso, Stinky, and Stretch, as well as them and Dr. Harvey as well. You have the ridiculousness of Kerrigan and Dibs, and you kind of have that adventure element too, where Amblin is tied to it. But yeah, this movie definitely gets you in the feels a little bit, watching it as you're a little bit older. And so yeah, it's one of those movies that, you know, I appreciated as a kid, but I appreciate it even more now watching it as an adult. And so then we get to the end of the film. Kat, she ends up going upstairs where everyone's waiting for her to start the party when Amelia, she ends up visiting her husband and mentions how Fatso, Stinky, and Stretch, they ended up keeping their word, so they get a few minutes together. And then for doing what Casper did, he gets to actually go to the dance as a human for a little bit with Kat and dances with her, which again is probably one of the most popular scenes from the film. And it's cool because I actually just recently got to meet Devon Sawa, who plays the human version of Casper in the film. Got to talk to him for a few minutes about the movie. He has great memories about the film. And I'm actually going to be seeing Christina Ricci in a couple weeks at Rhode Island Comic Con. I'm going to be adding her to the poster as well. I've met her a couple times, but she's always super nice when I have gotten the chance to meet her. Devon was nice as well, so if you guys ever get the chance and you're fans of them, definitely take advantage of that. And so that's Casper, guys. I love this movie, if you couldn't tell from me talking about the film here for a little bit. Just so many things about it I've already mentioned. It's something that when it comes time to September, October, I have to watch it at least once, if not multiple times. And sometimes I'll even just like throw it on at the, Freeform or something like that has it playing. I'll just have it playing in the background while I'm doing some other work. I just like having it there. It's one of those feel-good movies for me. I'm honestly surprised that they haven't tried remaking this film or doing something else with the property. I feel like I remember a couple years ago there was rumors of them doing like a TV series or something along those lines where they were going to try and go a little bit darker with Casper, and I would actually be interested in that. So even though I love the film, I would be down with like a different take of the movie, especially if it was a darker version, see if they maybe add like a little bit more horror elements to it. But yeah, I don't know what ended up happening to that. I haven't heard anything about it lately, so if any of you guys have, definitely let me know down below in the comments. But yeah, I mean, as far as a score goes, I'm going to give this thing a 9 out of 10. For me personally, again, it's just one of those movies that I watch every single year, and it's been a big part of, my childhood growing up and just my life as I've gotten older. So 9 out of 10 for me. I'm really curious what you guys think of the film. Is it something that, you grew up with the film like me, you watch it every single year? Is it something that maybe you've never seen the movie? I definitely want to hear your thoughts down below. And for you guys, when it comes to family-friendly Halloween flicks, what are some of your favorites that you like to watch every single year once we get to the spooky season? So let me know down below in the comments. If you guys are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button as well as the bell button next to it. That way you get notifications for all my new videos. Give this video a thumbs up, and as always, please make sure to check back for more Pop Culture with Pat.